My jealous sister humiliated me at school, sneering I'd never be more than a blurry nobody. Then she sent her boyfriend to teach me a lesson. He shattered my face in the locker room. She thought I'd stay silent, but the next time they saw me, they wished they never had. Hello, my dear viewers. My name is Juliana, and if you had asked anyone at Westlake High who I was, they probably would have squinted, scratched their head, and said, "Oh, Brittany's sister, right?" That was me. Always Brittany's sister. Never just Juliana. Brittany was the golden one. The kind of girl who made heads turn without even trying. She walked the school halls like they were her personal runway. Her hair always curled just right, nails perfectly glossed, her little posse of friends orbiting around her like she was the sun. And then there was her boyfriend Cody, the living definition of a high school cliché, tall, arrogant, a football star with a smile that could manipulate adults and a temper that could crush anyone who dared stand in his way.
Me?
I was 2 years younger, quieter,
Smarter.
but nobody ever cared about that. My life was a sequence of shadows, sitting alone in the library during lunch, winning debate trophies no one noticed, receiving academic honors that ended up lost beneath a stack of mail at home. Our parents didn't say it out loud, but the favoritism was obvious. Brittany got the praise, the applause, the room full of framed certificates. I got silence. I wasn't bitter at first. I just figured that was life. Some people were born to shine. Others, like me, were meant to hold the light steady while they did. But eventually, even a shadow gets tired of being stepped on. It all began in my sophomore year. That was when Brittany decided that merely ignoring me wasn't enough. She needed to make sure everyone else ignored me too. It started subtly. Eye rolls in the hallway, whispered laughs with her friends when I walked by, comments muted under breath, but loud enough for everyone to hear. Then one day, we got paired for a group presentation in science. I thought maybe, just maybe, we could act like sisters for one project. But right in the middle of our presentation, in front of the entire class, she joked, "This is Juliana. She's like a background blur. You never really notice her unless you zoom in." The class laughed. My face burned. Brittany smiled. That's when the nickname started, Blur. It took off fast. Her friends whispered it in the halls, wrote it on bathroom stalls, made it a hashtag in their Instagram stories. They'd snap photos of me from afar, deliberately out of focus, and caption them, "Some girls are just born extras." I tried talking to her once, cornered her after dinner. "Why are you doing this to me?" She barely looked up from her phone. "I'm not doing anything," she said flatly. "You're just boring, Juliana. No one notices you, because there's nothing worth noticing." That's when Cody got involved. At first, he just laughed with her. Then he started writing notes and leaving them in my locker. Things like, "Try smiling. It might make you visible."
Or blur.
Now in HD. Oh wait, still nothing. I kept every one of them. Not because I was afraid, but because I wanted evidence. Proof. In case someone ever cared enough to listen. I showed one of the notes to a teacher once. Her response? "Try not to take it so personally. High school boys can be immature." But then one night changed everything. My friend Isla begged me to go to a house party. "You never go out," she said. "Just one night." I went. I regretted it almost immediately. The noise. The crowds. The feeling that I didn't belong. I was about to leave when I saw Cody behind the house, making out with a girl who definitely wasn't Brittany. I pulled out my phone and snapped a photo. I didn't mean to be vindictive. I just knew that no one would believe me without proof. I showed it to Brittany the next day. She barely flinched. "Delete it," she ordered. "He's cheating on you," I whispered. She gave me a cold look. "You think I don't know? I let him do what he wants. As long as he's loyal in public, that's what matters." I was stunned. She stepped closer. "And if you say a word about this, you'll regret it." But it was too late. Isla had seen the photo on my phone. She told Rachel. Rachel told Adam. Within days, half the school knew. And Brittany knew where it started. That's when she cornered me again. This time at school. In the cafeteria. Her voice dripping with venom. You'll never be more than a background blur, Juliana. Don't forget that. Then she walked away. I should have known something worse was coming. The day it happened, I felt it in my bones.
P.
Had just ended. There was an assembly everyone was rushing to. I stayed back to grab my sketchbook. The locker room was empty. Until Cody walked in. Alone. Brittany doesn't like snitches, he said casually. My stomach dropped. I didn't. Before I could finish, he slammed me into a locker. The sound of my skull hitting metal echoed. Pain shot through my face. Blood filled my mouth. My vision went fuzzy. Then black. I woke up in a hospital bed. My jaw was wired shut. My nose broken. Left cheekbone fractured. My parents were there, my mom crying, my dad yelling into his phone.
Brittany?
She was sitting beside me, holding my hand. Jules, she whispered. I didn't know he'd actually hurt you. I just wanted to scare you. Even then, she was the victim. The police came. I told them everything. I handed over the notes, the photo, the messages. Cody was arrested. But Brittany? She walked free, smiling for the cameras, posting online about family hardships and the long road to healing. I spent weeks in recovery. Each day ached. Not just my face, but my spirit. But with every scar that formed, so did my resolve. I returned to school not because I was brave, but because I refused to disappear. I walked those halls with my head high, the scar on my cheek bare. Let them stare. Let them whisper. I wanted them to see what Cody and Brittany did. And more importantly, I wanted them to see I survived it. I didn't just survive. I fought back. I quietly gathered more evidence. Voice memos. Screenshots. Other victims came forward. Students who were bullied by Cody. Others who were humiliated by Brittany. I compiled it all. And when the court date came, I stood tall and testified. I looked Cody in the eye as I described the pain. I spoke of every word, every note, every threat. His lawyer tried to frame it as a high school fight gone too far. But there was no mistaking the evidence. No mistaking my broken face.
Guilty.
Aggravated assault. His future, football scholarships, college dreams, all gone. Brittany? She wasn't charged, but her reputation crumbled. Colleges rescinded offers. Friends abandoned her. The perfect image shattered. One day, after the verdict, she tried to confront me. You didn't have to ruin everything, she said. I responded quietly. You did that all on your own. In the months that followed, I found strength I didn't know I had. I wrote about my experience. Shared it online. A blog picked it up. Then a local paper. Then a national site. Suddenly, I wasn't the blur anymore. I was Juliana. A voice. A story. A survivor. And every time someone looked at me now, they didn't see Brittany's sister. They saw me. And as for Brittany and Cody, they wished I had stayed silent. But some storms don't roar until they're ready. And when I spoke, the whole world heard me. So tell me, what would you have done? Stayed quiet? Or let the truth burn its way through every lie? A few weeks after the hearing, I found myself sitting alone in the art room after school, the golden evening light pouring in through the tall windows as I sketched a new piece that wasn't for class, not for grades, just for me. My fingers moved with purpose, not hesitation. The scar on my cheek caught the light just right, a reminder not of pain but of strength. I hadn't thought I'd ever be seen beyond the incident, but something strange was happening. People didn't just look at me as the girl who got attacked anymore. They listened when I spoke. They valued what I had to say. Teachers asked me to mentor younger students who struggled with confidence. The same hallways that once echoed with mockery now carried quiet nods of respect. I was no longer a shadow clinging to the edges of someone else's spotlight. I was my own. Brittany, on the other hand, had become a ghost of her own making. Her once crowded lunch table sat half empty now, and the girls who used to follow her around now whispered stories that dismantled the image she had clung to. I overheard someone say she was trying to transfer to a different school out of state. Some said it was embarrassment. Others said her parents pushed her to start fresh somewhere new. I never spoke to her again after that day in the hallway. There was nothing left to say. Regret hung around her like a shroud, but she still couldn't say the words out loud. And that wasn't my burden anymore. I had spent too long carrying her silence, her image, her damage. It was never mine to bear, yet I had bled from it. And now that I had finally let it go, I knew I would never be caged by it again. One morning, as I walked toward the library, I noticed a flyer on the bulletin board with my face on it, an invite to a local youth conference on resilience and overcoming trauma. I had been asked to speak. My hands trembled slightly as I took the flyer down and folded it carefully into my journal. A younger girl from the freshman class stopped me, her voice barely a whisper. "I read your article. It helped me tell my mom what was happening at home. Thank you." I managed a smile, but inside, my heart was swelling with something fierce and new. Purpose. Power. A sense that my story was more than pain. It was a lifeline. It was proof that even when the world tries to write you out, you can still pick up the pen and write yourself back in. That spring, I applied to several colleges with personal statements that didn't hide behind pretty words or polished narratives. I wrote about truth, about courage, about being broken and choosing to stand up anyway. I got accepted to every single one. And the day I opened my final acceptance letter, I sat on the porch with my dad and showed him. His eyes watered as he pulled me into a hug he didn't always know how to give. "You're gonna change the world, Jules," he whispered. I think I already had, starting with my own. Healing hadn't come in a neat, clean package. It came in screams, in silence, in broken bones, in quiet victories. But it came, and I cherished every piece of it. So now, when people ask me what happened to that girl who used to be called a blur, I smile. Because that blur became a storm. The kind that sweeps in and tears down everything fake and fragile. And in its place, she built something real.
Solid.
Unshakable. Brittany may still wish I had stayed quiet, that I had remained small, that I had never found my voice. But she knows now, just like Cody does, that I did. And that voice echoes louder than any cruel word they ever threw my way. This is my life now. Not defined by the pain, but by the power I took back. Like, subscribe, and remember, sometimes the ones you try to silence become the loudest truth you'll ever hear.